We're good?
We're good.
All right. Welcome to the Overheard podcast, recorded live in Banff. My name is Daniel Ruda. Actually, we're not live in Banff today. We're live in Canmore.
Yeah, we're live in Canmore, man.
Wow, it's just an automatic. Hey, live in Canmore. I'm Dan. Matty Rage always with me.
Let's go.
Our guest today is Paula, chairperson from the Bow Valley Equine Adaptive. How you doing today?
Good, thanks.
Feeling good? Thank you so much for organizing this amazing space. It looks absolutely beautiful in here.
You're welcome. The mountain's just,
so good.
there.
If you guys could see the opposite view, we're overlooking the Three Sisters. It is amazing. Where are we exactly?
We're at the Bow Valley Riding Association.
Bow Valley Riding Association. So we're in their clubhouse right now.
Yeah.
An absolutely a beautiful little oasis up here. Before we get too far into it, if you haven't done it yet, me and Matt, we look at the analytics every single week.
We do.
There's people to watch and they don't subscribe. It's so strange.
You're going to miss episodes, man. That's all there is to it.
Exactly. Helps us tremendously. Click the like, subscribe button wherever you're watching, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're at. Every little bit helps. Tell all your friends and family, hey, I found this new podcast. It is super dope. Overheard podcast. If you love Banff and Canmore, you'll love this podcast. Before we get too far into more things, we're going to check in with our sponsors, Drink Shaft. If you're down at the Stampede this week, make sure you go find them. They're keeping everybody stoked and fired up at the Stampede. So we'll check in with them. We'll be back in 20 seconds.
Let's go.
This episode is brought to you by the Non-Alc Shaft. If you're looking for a clean energy drink that's gluten-free, vegan, naturally caffeinated with real coffee, perfect for the quick pick-me-up in the middle of the afternoon, or heck, in the morning when you're on the way to the hill, be sure to check out the beautiful black non-alc can sold as singles or as 4-packs down at Townhouse Liquor. I know my fridge is stocked up. All right, so give a big shout out to our second sponsor as well. Big shout out to the Rose and Crown Banff. When you're in Banff, do not miss the Rose and Crown. It's your go-to spot for great vibes and live music every single night, 364 days a year. Head up to the rooftop patio for incredible mountain views. Enjoy a cold pint and a fantastic bite to eat. Also, mark your calendars. July 16th, they're hosting a disco patio party.
Let's go.
Sounds pretty awesome. Starts off at 6:30 p.m. with free entry. You won't want to miss it, so head on up there. I know I'm going to try to make it for sure if I'm not working that day.
I was there last night checking out Brent Lee.
Nice.
He was throwing down some bangers. He even did some AC/DC on request, yeah.
Right on.
I didn't think he would do it, but the couple I was with, they're like, play some AC/DC, and he just busted right into it. So.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Big shout out to Brent Lee and the Rose and Crown. So our guest this week, Paula, has been a dedicated member of the Bow Valley Equine Adaptive Board for nearly a decade, serving in various roles and currently as chairperson. Her passion for therapeutic riding and horsemanship stems from personal experience. Her daughter has participated in the program since age of 4.
Wow.
Witnessing profound impact of equine-assisted activities inspired Paula to give back by volunteering. With a background in program coordination, Paula previously worked as a school swim lesson programmer at SAIT, where she honed her organizational, people, and technology skills. Her leadership experience extends beyond the boardroom. She spent over a decade as a lifeguard and served as a Girl Guide leader for 7 years. Paula is excited to support the continued growth of the Bow Valley Equine Adaptive, helping to expand programming and strengthen its volunteer base to benefit riders of all abilities.
Let's go. Thanks for being here, Paula.
Thank you for having me.
No doubt. Thanks for having us up here. This place is amazing.
You're welcome.
I've been just down the road, but it's awesome. As soon as you turn off the paved road, there's this absolutely beautiful oasis here.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So let's get right into it, okay? What is the Bow Valley Equine Adaptive? Who do they primarily serve? What are you guys doing?
So Bow Valley Equine Adaptive, we used to be Rundle Riders.
Okay.
Therapeutic riding was
Yeah,
a
I've heard of
recent
that.
name change. And we provide on and off horse experiences for people who don't just have a diagnosis, but you might have a physical disability, cognitive delays, developmental delays, or emotional challenges. So we serve a broad range.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. We mentioned a bit in your intro. How did you come to get involved? You said your daughter's been a member of these programs since age of 4?
Yes. Yeah. She first started in Sherwood Park in an unofficial program. And then we moved around a bit and found this program. But as with most things with your children, it requires volunteers. And I remember sitting on the sidelines and friendly face hanging over the arena. I said, hey, can you come help? Because they knew I was used to horses.
Oh, cool.
So I started in the ring, sidewalking, leading horses. And then it was the ask to, could you come join us on the board? We need help. And it's been a while now.
It's been a while. How long have you been on the board now?
Easily 10 years. I've
cool.
lost track.
Oh, okay. Nice.
But it's a really fulfilling role to give back, and you see the gains from the participants and the benefits for their families.
Anything volunteering is kind of addicting in that sense, especially when you see that you are making a difference. Like I had an experience volunteering myself where, like in high school in Ontario, you have to volunteer.
Right.
Oh, right.
Do your hours to get your diploma. And then I was coaching football with kids and we won the championship. So I was like, well, I got to go back next year, right? Like you find yourself in that position where you're like, I think you may be thinking of calling quits. You're like, oh, I got to go back, you know?
Yeah. There's always something to grow towards. So.
Absolutely. Can you take us through the progression of how you got, like, how did you end up chairperson?
Yeah, so I was the secretary for a few years, and that's where I really learned a lot of the history of the program and how things operate, and learned more about horses, more than I ever thought I would learn about horses. And then we needed, did I go from there? I went to treasurer, which was a short-lived position, maybe not my forte, but I did it. We needed someone to fill in. And then we needed a vice chair. And then our chairperson who's still on the board in a different capacity, just wasn't going to have time to be the chairperson. And so I ended up taking over. And here I am 2-3 years later.
Wild.
What kind of skills do you find you've developed over the years with, like, because I'm sure you've learned a lot on your journey as well.
I've learned a lot about, is it G Suite? It's not G Suite anymore. I can't even remember, but Google, dealing with the emails, like the back end of things.
100%.
Social media. I've learned so much about how social media operates.
As you do.
It's a little crazy.
The more I investigate social media, the more I realize I know nothing about it. And it's like, it's pretty
constantly
crazy.
changing. So it's a really difficult one to keep up on. I've also learned lots about contract writing. We work on the hiring process as a team.
Okay.
That's something I also have experience with, having a child with a disability. I hire all the staff who support her.
Amazing.
So I was able to transfer that skill to the horse program.
So you hire them on like a personal contract basis, or
with the horse program,
well,
or at
both,
home?
like,
at home, it's So the government provides financial support, and parents can choose, if they so choose to have that control over who works with their child. So I hire people there as employees.
Amazing.
And with the horse program, we hire on a contractual basis.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So what are your main responsibilities with the foundation then, now that you're
juggling?
Yeah.
Putting out fires.
Yeah, putting out fires. Well, chairing the meetings, just kind of keeping everything flowing a bit, organizing, promoting. It's not necessarily the chair's responsibility, but we've seen a bit of growth, and somebody has to take care of the promotion and the managing of staff. So, and equipment.
Right.
I also have learned how to haul a trailer.
Nice.
There you go. Oh yeah, you've never tried to back up a trailer before. That's a whole nother skill.
It's a whole other level.
What a varied range of skills. Everything from social media to physical boots on the ground. That is, what a wild journey. Definitely. Yeah. So we mentioned it a little bit earlier. The Bow Valley Equine Adaptive, they offer on-horse and off-horse therapeutics. What is the difference, and what do those entail?
Sure. So riding, you're on the horse, and everybody has different needs. And we have a variety of horses at Camp Chief Hector, where we do all the riding. There are 10 or 11 horses we can choose from, and they vary in size from a Welsh pony to a draft cross and everything in between. And so depending on the participant size or the feedback they need from the horse, it depends on the saddle we'll put on the horse. And we also have to have the tack to fit the horse. So if we don't have...
So there would be like adaptive saddles for specific disabilities?
There are adaptive saddles. However, we use regular saddles. First and foremost, it needs to fit the horse properly so
Fair.
that the horse is comfortable.
No doubt.
And then, there's Western saddles and English saddles that we primarily use. And then if we need to, we can do a little adaptation with them. If the straps are too long, we have a set that we can put over the horn for someone with shorter legs. If somebody needs more padding, yet they need the support of the Western saddle, we can add some padding to it.
Very cool.
And some kids need more contact and connection with the horse. And if appropriate with that horse that they fit as far as height and width and size, we have bareback pads. So it's not a whole lot of adaptive equipment. It's adapting regular tack.
Okay.
Amazing. So giving a more like a normal experience of riding a horse.
It
I would
is,
say.
absolutely, yeah.
Can you kind of walk us through what a typical session would look like, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the horse, the kids arrive at Camp Chief Hector and they sign in with their parents and they walk down to the arena, and it's, right there, they're already experiencing the outdoors and uneven ground. And for some of them on their first trip out, it might be new to them. Being outside, uneven ground, rocks, horses kind of here and there and everywhere. Not that they're all fenced in, but they're there.
Yeah.
They're there. And then they get fitted with their helmet and wait their turn. We have a mounting block that's been specifically built at a good height and with a ramp if necessary and stairs, not just a little stool we pull up. And
That's smart.
yeah,
Smart.
it's a little more stable, and they get supported if they need it to get on the horse. And then they'll do about 20 minutes in the arena doing a pattern set to that day's goals that meet the different participants' needs. And a lot of that is learning to direct the horse in the arena. And almost all our lessons end with a 15, 20-minute trail ride just outside of the arena. So
very cool.
again, going through the wildflowers, through the trees, and hopefully not meeting any wildlife, which we do have measures in place to avoid
Amazing.
that. Yeah.
So how do you? What are some of those measures that are in place just to kind of limit that, I guess?
Yeah, just like hiking, making noise on the trail,
Right.
Carrying bear spray. And luckily for us, those horses live outside year round, and they've had experiences without people around. So
Right.
We have not had a situation with the bears and the horses and the participants. So
That's
Amazing.
That's always a bonus.
yeah.
What about the off-horse
Right.
therapies? What
Yeah.
are those kind of looking like?
So that's where participant will come to where the horse is, and that could be at Camp Chief Hector, it could be at the Bow Valley Riding Association or the Banff Light Horse Association, where we have agreements with different owners to share their horses with our program. And the participant will maybe catch the horse. Again, it depends on the participant's abilities. They'll groom the horse. They'll learn to lead the horse with support. Safety is utmost in our program.
Of course.
Our horses are all pre-assessed every spring prior to using them, because a lot of the horses go to pasture all winter.
Okay.
So our instructors will thoroughly assess that they're still good for our program. But they're just learning more about the horse. It could be anything from, how to bandage a leg to listening to their heart rate, their heartbeat, or their stomach, and just learning how to read the horse,
Their cues.
their cues,
almost?
yeah. So we've a horse pins their ears back, and they that could be a sign that they're a little bit angry. We don't usually get that from our horses in the program, but even just the way they turn their ears, you can, And
They've got their own specific body language.
they
then, I
do
guess.
have their own specific body language. It's pretty complex, but it's another way our participants can learn to read other people too. It transfers that
100%.
learning.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there certain disabilities that do better with, say, on horse treatment or off horse treatment? Like, is there, or is it kind of like really individual?
It's quite individual, but what I can say is when you're on the horse, you're definitely getting more of a physical therapy towards, not that we do physical therapy, but you can cover that physical therapy aspect because you're building core strength.
Yeah, of course,
Maybe
right?
somebody who has, I might say this poorly, but dysplastic CP in their legs, so they tend to have a struggle there, is getting on the horse can be very relaxing and give them the stretch they need.
Kind of slight movement and bouncing,
The
I guess,
bouncing,
could be
yeah.
therapeutic in that sense.
Absolutely. Kids on the autism spectrum, or not just kids, adults too.
Yeah.
The movement of the horse gives them that sensory input and feedback.
Well, that was kind of a question that I kind of had in the back of my mind was you've been mentioning a lot about kids. What is kind of the age range of people that can benefit from equine therapy?
Anybody can benefit from equine therapy at any age. We have participants from 5 years of age to over 60 years old.
Wow.
And a lot of seniors' homes have programs where they'll either take
that's
the
cool.
seniors. We aren't in that business, but the seniors will go to a place or they'll bring horses to the seniors' home.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's get down to the horses.
The horses,
All right.
yeah.
What makes horses specifically such good therapeutic partners? Because that's like the biggest thing that piqued my curiosity. I was like, why horses? What makes them so majestic, basically?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's $1 million question, I think. But however, I find they are empathetic themselves. They can sense a person's heart rate from about 4 feet away, and they can sense where you're at emotionally.
Cool.
So they just are inherently therapeutic. A lot of the horses we use actually have stories and histories where they have been rescued from a certain situation, and they vary completely. I have found that those horses tend to be the most empathetic.
From like
to our
an abusive situation, or like
It can be.
an unfit situation for a horse, maybe, and they maybe need that affection, or
Yeah, some of them have their signs. You don't know the whole story, but some of the horses that are in our program have been physically abused themselves, and some have just been neglected or rescued from auction, or which a lot of those horses in Alberta do end up in being shipped to Japan for food.
Oh, crazy.
So maybe a bit of a two-way street as far as therapeutics go, right?
Well, it's hard to know because the horses don't actually answer us. But I have seen some situations where the horses show us that they're connected to their individual. Just this spring, we had a participant return to our program as an adult, and they had ridden in the program as a child. And after their first ride on the horse, they got off and our participants always thank the horse with some scratches on the neck. Ooh. And we stepped away, and it was Loki. Loki is actually the picture you used, and he is
nice.
We used the hashtag
horse,
Loki the legend. He really is. But he went to follow. He wanted to follow this person. So first ride, he had connected with this person, and they had this bond. So
amazing.
There has to be something there for them to want to connect with the person.
How do you match the participant with the horse? Is there a process there? Is it trial and error? Same thing with the therapies. Is it trial and error?
It can be trial and error at times.
Or do you kind of have a plan coming into it? Or
the instructors who we hire would make those plans. You look at, who do I have? What does the participant need to get out of it?
Right.
And which horse, is going to best meet those needs. All of our horses are they're least likely to react.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Okay.
So
Which is where the screening comes in,
the screening
right?
of the horses,
Yeah.
but also just like their size. And then some horses, you'll describe them, they might be more forward. So some of our more independent riders, or who've been riding a little bit longer, will get a horse that they have to be a little more like, nope, we're going this way.
Controlling
right?
of.
Controlling
Yeah.
the
Okay.
horse. But it's more of a learning that relationship too, working together with the horse.
Right.
Yeah.
That bond would develop over time as well, right?
It can, and that's a little bit of a drawback, like just depending so sometimes a horse has to be like take a week off. Right?
Oh, right.
But the benefit is we have those other horses to draw from.
Like take a week off as far as like their temperament, or take a week off as far as
They
might
need a
have
break.
other,
They've
Yeah.
maybe done too much work already that week, or there could be a concern of or they can get injured,
Right.
just like a human.
Well, we were talking about this a little bit off screen. Horses having like a job, right? Like, what would you say to those that say maybe like, I don't know, they should just be hanging out all day?
I think they'd get pretty bored.
I would think so too, right?
There's a horse out at Camp Chief Hector, Jericho, and he's a sweetheart. And I was there one time, and the horses were pulled in, and they're like, "Oh, well, Jericho's here. He's expecting to work. We can put him back, but he's not going to like it because he was pulled into the corral and he's ready to work."
Okay, so there's
Right.
like a routine involved around
Yeah.
that where the horses know, almost like, "Okay, it's time to be needed." You know?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Interesting. And that's something that's like almost ingrained in their DNA. Like we've bred that into horses.
I think
right?
over
Like,
time, yeah. I mean, they've been working in many situations for years.
And what do most of the horses that you work with do? Do they have other quote unquote jobs, or are they retired horses? Are they race horses? Are they farm horses? Like, where do they come from?
They come from all over. We have a lot of quarter horses in the program, a lot of geldings, and
What does that mean for those that don't know?
a gelding is a male horse
Okay.
that is can no longer create other horses.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. They tend to be generally the calmest ones. Now, we have had mares in our program who are extremely motherly and wonderful. That doesn't exclude them.
Yeah.
But our horses can be people's pets per se. Here at Bow Valley Riding Association, they're owned by a private owner who will ride that horse if that's what they do with their horses.
Yeah. Cool.
Most people do. But there will come a time where some horses cannot be ridden
Yeah.
in their life. So that's where our groundwork program comes
Oh,
in.
cool.
Okay, cool. So tending for them kind of in their later years.
Yeah,
Type stuff.
yeah.
Okay. So it's not like the same horse
did I
they're going to be
answer
used
the whole
for.
question?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. No, that's awesome. Other than that, like what are some of the biggest challenges facing your organization? Obviously, sourcing horses is probably one of them. Sourcing, organizing, and space, and
There's a lot of space. We work in the outdoors.
Yeah.
However, the outdoors again is a challenge. We don't have an indoor facility in the Bow Valley for working with horses.
Okay.
There's no arena. The closest arena is privately owned in Sybil Creek.
Okay, which is quite a ways away.
It's it's about a 40-minute drive. So yeah, an indoor, we don't have that facility. We have 3 outdoor places we can use at different times of the year. But again, it's May through October, so that's 6 months of the year that we can operate. So that's a bit of a challenge there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I feel like we were talking before we got on. I'm just like organizing. We organized 3 people to do this today.
Yeah.
All the moving parts of that seem to be, quite a lot to put together. So we tip our hats to you for everything
Thank
that
you.
do.
Yeah. Well, we're a team.
How do you find volunteers?
We use our social medias to recruit volunteers, but we also found this spring the posters we put up in the Bow Valley worked incredibly well.
Oh, cool.
Because honestly, I lived in the Bow Valley for a long time, meeting people from all over the world, especially Australians, those that
Yes.
don't live by the beach. A lot of them use horses in farm work and that kind of stuff. So I actually had a buddy that lived here and he used to train horses or something like that, and then found some work outside of Calgary, and then ended up like going to Texas and like getting into some like really big time horse work. Yeah, I kind of forget where I was going with that.
Well,
So yeah, do you find that like people just don't know about your organization, and then they're coming in to volunteer, or?
Yes. Well, yeah. Some people are like, "Oh, I saw your poster. Oh, I'm so glad I found this. I have experience here. I grew up with horses. I love horses. I had my first horse experience doing this." And then we have some people who come to us and they've never worked with horses.
Cool.
And they're interested in giving back to the community, and they're familiar working with people with disabilities. We have people who own their own horses who come and share their time, or did own their own horses and miss that time, so they
Yeah,
want to
no
come
doubt.
and
Okay,
have
yeah,
that
nice.
horse time. And volunteers can come and learn. So you might be interested in horses, comfortable working with our participants, and so we have a sidewalker role. And you can still learn more about the horses by working with the leaders and the instructors and working together. Yeah,
And like you said earlier, just being around horses can kind of give you that
absolutely.
that relaxing feeling.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what makes a great volunteer?
The biggest thing is having empathy
Yeah.
and understanding. Yeah.
I think wanting
That's-
to be there too is a big
Wanting
one,
to,
like,
you
yeah.
want, you have to want to be there. Absolutely. Because there's a lot going on with a horse and people and yeah.
No doubt. Any myths or like misconceptions people often have about like equine therapy?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a few.
Because like I didn't know much about it before we started this journey of creating the episode and all this stuff. What do you find you encounter out there?
Well, I think some people think it's just horseback riding. It's not. We take the participants and we ask them about their goals, and incorporate some of that into each lesson. So our lesson might, if it's a riding lesson, there's up to 4 people in the group, so we have to coordinate all those goals
Cool.
and to different lessons. If it's one-on-one, it's a little easier to, work on the goals individually. Some people might think you have to already know how to ride a horse, and that's absolutely not the case. In the riding program, every horse has a leader, and if
Okay.
needed, there'll be 1 to 2 sidewalkers to support that rider. And it could just be comfort, or it could be physically needing that support for balance until they gain their balance and confidence.
I think that's a good point, because anything I think horse related just has this, I think, I don't want to say a stereotype, but anytime I think of something including horses, I think it's going to be expensive. It's going to be like inaccessible to me, or like, I don't know, it has this grandeur to it, right?
It does, for sure. And horse stuff can be very expensive. That's been one of the goals of our program, is to keep that barrier low
Right.
so that more people can participate and enjoy.
As far as funding, we mentioned like personally owned horses. Do you guys have funding from outside that kind of help you guys run, or how do you guys navigate that?
Well, every 3, and it might be pushing in the near future to every 4 years, we do a casino through the AGLC.
Okay, nice.
And so that's our primary funding. This year, for the first time, we did get a operational grant from the town of Canmore to offset some of our costs.
Beautiful.
And then there's the small fee from the riders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, and we did do last year, the first time ever, Rocky Mountain Adaptive invited us to share the Beer Fest fundraiser.
Okay, cool. Nice.
cool.
Right on.
So
So still looking for funding if out there. If you guys
Yeah.
got a few bucks to spare, they won't say no, of course.
no.
So in your opinion, what role does the human-animal relationship play in all this, and like what benefits are the participants getting from it all?
The
We mentioned it a little bit.
Yeah. So the human animal rules. So many animals, be it a cat, a dog, can help lower blood pressure. Like when you pet a cat or dog, it's been proven. Horses can sense your heart rate from 4 feet away. I think I mentioned that earlier. Something I've noticed with my own daughter is it's not just the physical benefits. It's kind of where it started, to gain some strength. I saw confidence grow as she learned to guide the horse independently.
No doubt.
She had a bit of a break from riding for a variety of reasons, and we did just some groundwork, and it was inconsistent. And recently I just got her back onto the horse, and her anxieties had been really high and elevated, but 4 weeks, no, she's had 5 weeks of back on the horse. And then last Friday, she had a groundwork program with our little mini. And I can see a huge difference in her anxiety from that time.
Because that was one thing that I didn't even think of. I thought it was mostly physical. It's like you said, core strength, maybe balance, maybe like slight jostling for certain mobility
You get the
issues. But
feedback, yeah.
I didn't even think of the emotional or like almost psychological impacts that you would have interacting with a horse.
And I think most people do think about the physical benefits, but I think the physical benefits are just a nice bonus. It really is.
I feel like I kind of had it flipped, I had the priorities flipped a little bit of what was kind of the main benefit.
And I think a lot of people come to us at first thinking about the physical benefits, and they are good and they're big, but then you find that connection with the horse, you find that connection potentially with our volunteers, and it just can kind of snowball from there.
No doubt.
Amazing.
In a good way.
Would you say that, like we talked a lot about benefits for the riders themselves. What about the horses? Like what benefits are they getting out of it? Is it kind of a two-way therapeutic street, or?
Yeah. Do the owners like that? Like, are the owners cool with it? Like,
the owners, they wouldn't let us use their horses.
Well,
No, they're usually quite excited. Usually part of it means they get a break from one end of the day of having to come and give their horses hay, make sure their water's full, and it gives their horse something more to do. We had a past horse that we used to use here who passed away last year. Sugar could not be ridden anymore.
Okay.
Right. So we were able to come 3-4 times a week with a participant, and that Sugar got all that attention, and it was all on her, and she got to go for her walk, and she's giving back, but she's also getting, and the owners know that their horse is being cared for.
Right.
No doubt. The horses we use, I sometimes get caught saying they're our horses, but they're not. We try to treat them as if they were ours.
Right.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, that level of bond that you develop over time too, right? Of course, they're not yours, but that level.
Yeah, every spring I'm happy to see Loki again. So.
Who makes kind of the assessment of whether a horse will be suited for the program or not? And like, what does that look like? How do horses' personality differ? I have so many questions about that. Yeah, I know.
So I'll take the first part of that.
Yeah, okay,
so first of all, an owner comes usually to us, and then our instructor, who is certified as a therapeutic riding instructor typically. We've also just recently spoke with an equine assisted learning instructor. So they would be assessing the horse for things like, does this horse, like if this horse spooks easily, probably not a good candidate for the program.
Right.
So they have to, generally they're a little bit older horse because then they've had some life experience.
Okay.
They're not going to, they could care less about the train going by or the helicopter taking off and landing. Okay. The leaves blowing in the trees, those little things. And so we'll assess them one-on-one or with support from volunteers. And so it's usually our instructor. At Camp Chief Hector, it's the barn manager who, she's actually worked with our program in the past. And so she looks at her herd and says, hey, I think this horse this year is going to be okay. And then we do the assessments with different tools, basically like, can we use these balls or rings around the horse? And when we drop it, is the horse going to just stand?
It's a bunch of like tests, basically.
They are tests. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What's the most unexpected lesson you've learned along the way with the BVEA?
The connection, again, I go back to, it was years ago, I think it was Barney, who I believe is no longer with us either. But we had a participant come out, and he never did get on the horse. He was super sensitive to the noises. He had noise canceling ear protection on. Yeah, and he would make a lot of noise around the horse, and Barney just stood there. And we'd have a volunteer and his family helping, and he would pet the horse a little bit, brush the horse a little bit. And I'm not sure that the benefits were seen necessarily right away, but it was the last day of the program. The family was thanking us and saying goodbye, and they walked away, and they got about 20 feet away. And that was the first time Barney moved. He wanted to go follow the boy. So to see that the horse has that connection with people.
Yeah.
Where they can just kind of like turn around and, I don't know, just adapt.
Yeah. He wanted to take care. He was like, oh, no, like my person's going. I better follow that.
That's cute.
Well, I think, didn't you tell me a story? You told us again about when you were here today, like you're maybe a little stressed
yeah.
about something that you had going on. Like, could you share that with us?
Yeah, well, yeah. So I arrived here a little stressed about this, but, just things in life. You get a text, oh, that's something I have to deal with later. Okay, got it. And I looked up and there was Rose, who was the pasture mate for Sugar. They were friends. And I looked and I said, oh, hey, Rose. And normally Rose can be aloof, but she looked at me. And so I thought I'd get a little closer. And for the first time ever, Rose came to the gate and let me just, talk to her and scratch her head. And I was like, thanks.
So almost knew that you were a little stressed and like her response was different.
Yeah, I feel like, until some more horses showed up, of course.
Well, of course.
They're way more interesting than me.
That's awesome.
So what would the Bow Valley Equine Adaptive look like if you had unlimited resources?
Good question.
You've asked the right person. But they always have to rein me in. I'm like, let's dream big. If we had an indoor riding facility and the means to keep a few horses around the Bow Valley year round, we could offer what we offer between May and October year round to more people.
Right.
There are spaces. There has been talk out at Camp Chief Hector of an indoor facility being built. They've just been going through a big fundraiser. I think it's called Love Camp, making improvements at camp. And if they could build or if we could build the arena, I mean, unlimited, if we could build and own that arena and keep those 11 to 15 horses. But I mean, that would be dreaming really big. I'm happy to borrow horses.
100%.
But to take what we do those 6 months of the year and do it year round.
Because then you'd have, do you find the participants kind of fall out of the benefits that they've experienced over the 6 months that you guys aren't running? Or is there other therapies that kind of pick up the slack?
Well, I mean, there's other programs. Like for my daughter, I do see with my own child, I should say my own adult child, a change, like a bit of a change, but you have to get back kind of to square one again because this means 6 months off.
Fair.
Even though she skis in the winter, she loves that too.
Right.
I would have her ski and ride, right? Like, I go back to that emotional development and the decreasing anxiety is huge because then you can do so many other things when your anxiety is lower.
Amazing.
Do you find a big difference between what you do here and say like traditional treatments or programs?
Then the nice thing about the horseback riding, therapeutic horseback riding, is you can incorporate language goals, you can incorporate social goals on the horse, and they can do that, work through that, be it a game, be it just asking questions, getting answers with the horse. We have one adult participant who has an acquired brain injury, and he lives at the Bow Valley River Lodge. I think I've got that right, but here in the lodge. When he comes to our program, that's when he lights up. That's when he smiles, and he will use his words. When he's back where he lives, less of that happens.
Oh.
And so if we, somebody like that, if we could have him come once a week for 50 weeks a year, there'd be a huge improvement in his quality of life.
So it's kind of like, I guess, they're not even necessarily realizing that they're making progress, but I guess you guys kind of see it from the outside, right?
Yeah, we can see the changes in people.
Very cool. Honestly, this has been so eye-opening for me. This is way more than I anticipated it was as far as benefits on both sides of the coin. What you're doing is really...
Would you like to volunteer?
Oh my
You sound like a perfect...
He's already got the shirt.
That's it.
He does have the shirt.
He's got the
Well,
shirt.
that leads me to my next question. If anyone out there is listening and they want to volunteer, how can they get in touch with you guys?
We have a form on our website under the volunteer page, and that gives us some information about the volunteers, gives them some information about our program. All our frequently asked questions are there. You can also just email us at inquiry@bvea.ca, or some people message us on social media.
Cool.
Right on. So super accessible if you want to get out there, or if you need some therapy yourself, or family members, whatever. Get in touch. Is definitely a cool place to be for sure.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Even just the vibe out here is pretty sick. the view out here. I know the cameras can't see it, but yeah, even just being up here for the view is wild.
How's the views out at Hector?
They're pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Below the base of Yamnuska is where we ride. And
Oh, cool.
when you arrive there, it's not a place everybody gets to go.
Well,
Yeah, no idea.
from what I know from climbing documentaries, like Yamnuska itself, very sacred place. I've been on top of it doing the hike, and there's a feeling there that is unmatched.
Yeah, absolutely. When you go out to the arena and you turn north, there's Mount Yamnuska, and you can, it's always been a place that's
Been a sacred place in
wonderful.
First Nations for forever. It's it's highly regarded, and if you haven't been there, go check it out. Do yourself a favor. Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Awesome.
Paula, thank you so much for sitting down with
No
us.
doubt.
You've been amazing, very
Thank you.
informative. My whole idea of what equine therapy was has been flipped. I didn't know too much leading into it, so
Yeah,
thank you
same.
so much for educating us and our audience. If you're listening, if you're still here with us and you haven't done it yet, I don't know why you wouldn't, but hit the like and subscribe, please. Takes 2 seconds, helps us tremendously.
It's like right down here.
Yeah, just hit it up. Hit it up. Even if you are just here for the horse show or for the equine content, go check out other stuff too. We got plenty of good stuff going on. 70% of our listeners don't subscribe, so hit it up. Help us out. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in. We want to thank Paula once again.
Thank you.
For organizing this beautiful space. And sharing all your knowledge with us.
Kind of
It's been
fits
great.
in with the Stampede vibe right now, I guess.
That's what I
Yeah, it
thought
was
too. That
perfect
was all
timing.
kind of in the same vibe. So I got my Stampede shirt on. If you're at the Stampede, don't forget to go check out Drink Shaft. They're gonna keep you fired up all Stampede long. They're partying down there. Their social media is going off, so if you don't follow them, give them a follow too. If you're in Banff, don't forget to go grab yourself a shaft and some great lunch on the Rose and Crown patio. Best patio in town. You see, they got a glizzy tower.
Oh, I was just gonna say they have a hot dog tower now.
No
it looks
way.
awesome. It's like this big thing. It's like a whole bunch of condiments and then like a bunch of dogs, dude.
It's sick.
I
It's
could
like-
go eat one of those whole things right now.
We should
myself.
go there for lunch after we're done here.
I'm down.
It's like a 3-layered tower. They got the condiments. I think it's like 4 or 6 hot dogs and then a bunch of fries to share with your friends.
Oh, it's
Oh my
awesome.
gosh.
so yeah,
Oh,
jug of beer, glizzy tower. You got me in. Right on. Well, that's all the time we got for this week. And like every week, see you next Tuesday.